Hello guys, welcome back. So today let's work on some Halloween Moody decor. So I'm basically going to start out with this little tombstone that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. Starting out by taking this top paper off the top, which was super easy with the heat gun. It came off, no trouble at all. So this has a little trouble standing, and I do plan on putting some molds on it. So I did think about putting like a piece of wood on the back to help it stand, but in the end I just decided to put it on an easel, and it works out just fine, but that's just an option. So I'm going to start out with giving the top portion a coat of white paint, something super quick. This is just going to be a base coat for the decoupage. And I'm going to go ahead and use these napkins that I picked up at Walmart a couple years ago, and it is 2-ply, so I'm going to go ahead and take the extra layer off my napkin. I'm going to go ahead and spray my little tombstone here with this Elmer's glue spray adhesive to decoupage my napkin on. I'm going to go ahead and lay my napkin down, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a plastic glove on to create the barrier between the napkin and my fingers. And you can use saran wrap for this. I just have gloves on hand, so that's what I use. I'm just using the glove to smooth out any wrinkles, and it doesn't get completely wrinkle free, but I'm okay with some wrinkle. And with my sanding block, I'm going to go ahead and take off any of the excess napkin, going up and down, so I don't tear my napkin. And as always, I'm going to go ahead and age the edges of my napkin. And to do that, I am using some Distress Oxide from Hobby Lobby. So I went to Hobby Lobby and purchased this leaf adhesive for the gold leaf paper I have. In the previous video, I tried to use the Elmer's glue adhesive spray, and it just dried really quick, and it didn't give me a chance to I guess push down the gold leaf paper. So I'm gonna try this one out, and I'm using that same paper that I picked up at the thrift store. I picked up like a couple little packets of it, so I'm trying to go through it, and I'm gonna use it on these molds from the new IOD release. So using my chip brush here, I went ahead and pushed down the foil paper, and I'm also going to use it to take off any of the excess foil leaf paper. So far, I do like this spray adhesive. It has a better open work time, which is what I struggled with the Elmer's glue spray. So I have this little sign that came out of like a Tim Holtz pack that had like cardstock and little Halloween stuff that I picked up at Joann's Fabric last year. I just had this little extra sign that came in that, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it to the bottom of my tombstone. Then I'm just going to go ahead and use some hot glue and glue down my molds to the top of my tombstone. Then from the IOD invitation only mold, I had the little cat already made, so I'm going to go ahead and use it to place it in the center of my tombstone. And I am using the color ink from Waverly Chalk Paint. I'm just going to give this a good coat of black and let it dry. Then going in with that gold leaf paper, I'm going to go ahead and spray my mold here with that adhesive. Then I'm going to place my gold leaf paper right on top. So I start out by pushing down with my fingers, then I use the chip brush to try and help me get into all the little nooks and crannies of this mold. Then I will use that same brush to take off any of the excess on my mold. So this is the brand of gold leaf paper I'm using. This one is the silver, but I am using the gold. I think this is the same stuff sold at Hobby Lobby. It's just a different package. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some hot glue and glue my little mold down to my tombstone. So using some black paint as the base to put the gold leaf on did work a lot better versus going over the mold with no base or anything in between. So next, I'm just going to create a little stand with a skull using this skull head and this urn that I picked up at the Goodwill bins. And I'm pretty sure you can buy this at Walmart or Dollar Tree. So I'm going to start out by giving this 2 coats of black paint in the color ink from Waverly Chalk Paint. So with my drill, I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole right through the bottom just so I can stick a dowel in there to make it a bit sturdier to stick it into my urn. So my hole that the drill made was a little bit too small, so I did use the tip of the hot glue gun and just hold it in place, and it made the hole bigger for my dowel to fit right in. So I guess technically I didn't have to use the drill, so if you decide to do this, you can do it with the hot glue gun. If you have a glue gun that is hot enough, like it's a high temp glue gun, it will melt the plastic and it'll make the hole right for you. So I went ahead and filled the top of the urn with some foam. Then I'm going to go ahead and add some moss to cover up that foam. And if I had to do this all over again, I would probably do this step last. The moss just made it a little bit hard to get my skull and the urn to adhere together. I just had to use a lot more glue this way versus you doing it the other way. Then I'm going to go ahead and stick my little dowel into my skull, and I'm going to add a lot of glue. I just want to make sure that this is not going anywhere, and this part is not going to really show, so I do put a lot of glue. So I also add some hot glue to the foam, and I go ahead and stick my skull right into that. So here I'm just adding a little bit more hot glue. As I mentioned, it was hard to get this to adhere with the moss underneath. And to hide all of that glue, I did go in with some more moss to cover it up. Next up, I'm going in with this color from Waverly Chalk Paint. I will list the name below. I'm not even sure if it's available anymore. I'm just going in with a quick dry brush right over all the detail. Then using the very last of my Folk Art Gold's paint, I'm just going to go ahead and dry brush some gold right over that. And I actually really loved this color combination. The purple is very subtle. It just comes through more like in the light, which is kind of what I was going for. I'm not really a big purple person, but I did want to add some color into this little skull. And I did add a little bit of gold to the urn as well. I just didn't show it, but I did add it to make it more cohesive. So I created this little simple bow, and I'm going to go ahead and hot glue it to the bottom here. And I add a little black stone, and that is it for this one. What do you guys think? Next up is this cutting board that I got at the Goodwill bins. I want to create just a little piece of wall decor. I'm also going to be using this pumpkin from the Hello Pumpkin from the IOD mold. And as a background, like a backdrop, I'm going to be using this cardstock out of this Tim Holtz pack that I picked up from last year at Joann's Fabric. So I'm going to give my cutting board here a good coat of black paint. If I was decoupaging with a napkin, I would be painting the center piece or the center of my board here white to make a good base for decoupage. But I am using a piece of cardstock that is on the thicker side, so it's in the end it's not really going to matter. So I'm going to start by placing my cardstock over my board here and just kind of creating the creases by pushing down so I can know where to cut. And once I cut it out, it was still a little bit too big, so I just kind of pushed it in there, and with my nails I kind of created a fold so I can know where to trim it down. Then I'm going to go ahead and spray down my board with the Elmer's glue spray adhesive and place down my cardstock. So for my pumpkin, I'm going to go ahead and give it 2 coats of this purple burgundy paint from Waverly Chalk Paint. And here is the color that I am using, but again, I don't think it is available anymore. But just in case, there it is. Now I know it does look more black here. I was using the paintbrush that already had black paint on it. But the purple is coming through very subtle. Now I'm just going over all those details with some gold paint, and I believe it's a folk art paint. And with that same color, I'm just going to go ahead and hit the edges of my board as well. So my cardstock didn't reach all the way to the ends of my board here. I really wanted to use it this way, not horizontally. So just to kind of disguise that, I'm going to add some moss, just like it's coming out from behind the pumpkin. Once I add my pumpkin on there, it kind of creates like a little wall pocket because it does sit on the ridges of the board here. I had planned on putting greenery, but then I really like the moss. So I go ahead and attach my pumpkins to my board with some hot glue. Then I just create a simple little bow to add to the top of it. And I just feel like this looks very like elegant. And I'm not going for a very like fall in your face kind of style. I want like a more moody, settle. I don't even know if that's a thing, but that is what I'm going for. I think in the booth and in my own home decor, that's what I want to do this year. So I did paint the back of the board, and I will be adding like this same ribbon like as a hanger to the back of the board, and that is basically it for this one. So this next one, I'm not really sure if this falls in the same category as fall and Halloween, but I think it can transition into it. And it can also be used for Christmas as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start out by giving this a good coat of black paint. And this is just going to create a good base for the gold paint that I want to use right over this. So the gold paint I want to use is from Folk Art, and it is called Brushed Bronze. And I was quite surprised. I've used this before, but it's been a good while. So I was really surprised how this came out. So I did start to add the paint on with this chip brush, but I quickly changed my mind. I just feel like it was looking a bit streaky. So I did go ahead and change the brush. So this did take about 2.5 coats of paint. I do feel that the black played a huge role in getting a good coverage. It gave something for this paint to adhere to. This paint is very, I would say like transparent. So putting a base coat under this helps this paint a lot. So to finish this off, I gave it a clear coat of spray paint, and that is it for this one. And the last project for this video is a swan. So I picked this swan up a couple weeks ago from the Goodwill, and it did have a crack on her neck, but I just put a little bit of glue to fix that, and now I'm just gonna go in with a coat of black paint. And I did do 2 coats of paint. Now I'm gonna go in with some gold to paint in her beak. So I do put a lace bow on her, but I don't add any glue directly onto the swan. I just do it between the knot where the bow meets, and then I add a little bead to her eye, and we are all done. And that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Down in the comments, let me know which one was your favorite, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.